Thanks for tuning in to the Customer Success Festival. We really hope you're enjoying the event so far. Because we've got even more insights heading your way, all sessions are designed that you can interact with each other and engage with our speakers. So make sure to take advantage of this opportunity and ask your questions. For all things customer success, don't forget to check out the CSC memberships. Sit back and enjoy the next session. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the second day of the Customer Success Festival. So today we're joined here by Simon, who is a manager of customer success at LinkedIn Learning. But before we get started, I'd like to invite everyone attending today to drop in a chat, say hi and where you're coming from. And also we'll be answering questions at the end of the session, so feel free to drop in your questions. So without further ado, I introduce you to our presenter for today's session, Simon.
Thanks, Alex. I really appreciate that. Alex, you can tell me if I hit slides, that puts my slides up. Is that right? Yeah, thumbs up. Fantastic. Well, that's great. Good start then. Lovely to be presenting to you all today, and I really hope I've got some interesting and useful things to say to you. I was asked by the team that organises this summit to cover teams and leadership, which left me with a suitably vague title to shoehorn my own agenda into it. And so today you'll be hearing about how I think learning can support you to move from your current role into your next role. And I'm going to be using an IC to FLM move as the example throughout. And, you know, I work for an American company, do like a good acronym. I'm sure lots of you might know those acronyms, but that's individual contributor to frontline manager as an example throughout. There'll be a lot of that, so I will point out when I use my Americanisms, I'll point that out. Now, you might also be wondering why my slide is so clean and simple. And the truth is, I lost my entire deck the day before I was due to send it over, and that was on Monday. And so I had to remake it in a hurry. So you see now, clean and simple is now starting to look like quick and hurried, right? But look, I can assure you the message I want to deliver and the conversation I want to have with you all today is the same. And you know, the less distracting the slides, the better. In saying that, though, we should probably move on to my introduction. So, yeah, that's my face. And it's on, that's an accurate picture of what my body looks like, in case anyone was wondering. I am a customer success manager, work for LinkedIn. I have done that for 5 years, looking after learning-based clients. We have a learning product, EdTech products, and I've been doing that for a while now. And before I jumped into LinkedIn, I worked in learning and development. So I did all sorts of training, all sorts of wonderful support to help people to educate themselves at work, you know, in whatever way, shape or form that took. I am really pleased to be to have this opportunity to talk to you today, and I want to spend the time looking at this. So, you know, I bet we've got a few of these on the call, right? Customer success managers. I want to talk about the very minor move of the word manager from the end of the job title to the start. You know, I want to look at what it looks like as you move into more senior positions. And look, not, I want to be very clear on this, not positions of greater responsibility, because I believe responsibility is equally spread across all roles in an organization when assessing impact on a business. But that's probably a topic for another seminar or summit at some point in the future. What I want to do today is look at this process, you know, this move from the end of the job title to the start. And I thought it would be a useful topic because it gives us an opportunity to talk about lots of stuff while setting it to a very customer success manager-like 3-point agenda. There you go, see? If I promise something, I deliver. Look, here is an expert 3-point agenda with vague topic areas that sound like band names from the 90s. my plan is to cover off how a CSM to manager roles differ and where they might cross paths, and we're going to be looking at that in the difference and the similarity. I'm then going to look at bridging any potential gaps, like how you might do that and why. We'll be doing that in the answer. And then I'm going to finish with what you might choose to do following this session and your takeaways. And I'm going to be doing that in the future. And if that's not exciting enough, I'm planning to leave some time for Q&A, where I hope to answer any questions you may have about customer success management, managing customer success managers, document recovery in Microsoft Office, or my stickman body. All on the table. Okay, so feel free to start winding up to ask any of those. So, moving on, look at this slide. Continuing my theme of exceptional last-minute slide design. Here am I on a seesaw. Firstly, when I consider the differences between typical CSM individual contributors versus frontline managers, the clear difference is that ICs have to deal with clients and customers directly. It is factual to say that, but it is not accurate to say that. Because the similarity is simple. As you move from handling clients externally, you move to handling clients internally. Your team becomes your clients. I made this rather simplistic realization when I was asked early doors which job I preferred. You get asked that a lot, by the way, anytime you move roles or you do a period of acting up or anything of that sort. I didn't know the answer at the time. I missed client interaction. Yeah, can you believe that? Missing the cold face, missing client life. But I love that, and I did miss it. But I remember it being that week, for the purposes of this presentation, that I was supporting one of my team members with a complicated, a real complex customer ask. And I realized I'm still helping clients, not the external client with the complicated, complex ask at all. My colleague, I coached my colleague through it. I supported them, and I realized that my involvement, although one step removed, was just as satisfying and just as rewarding. So I did what I've always done in roles I sit in. I sought improvement through learning. Where did I need to expend my energy to brush up on the key skills I needed for management? And I came to my next unexpected realization. But it wasn't unexpected, was it? It wasn't anything, in fact, hugely surprising to me when I looked into the needs and requirements of a CSM compared to a manager, stroke leader. Another stellar slide, by the way. Hope you're enjoying these. Took me a huge amount of time. In fact, I think my, when I started to do the research around the kind of skills CSMs need on the internet, across various blogs, vlogs, podcasts, articles, and comparing that to the data that we hold in LinkedIn from job adverts placed on our platform. You can see here a list of real human skills. Some people call them soft skills or human skills that are required. I expect none of these are surprising, and I expect none of these are groundbreaking. The ability to communicate effectively, have high emotional intelligence and empathy, build strong relationships whilst managing expectations without ruining what you've already built, all the time whilst managing high workloads and organizing yourself effectively. I could easily be describing you or your manager right now. It should be no great surprise that a job with the title Customer Success Manager has a strong crossover with a manager of customer success. So I did I set out then to do what I felt necessary to improve my skill set, I was faced with a new set of challenges, and I made a concerted effort to improve in those areas. And how did I do that? Well, with learning, of course. Firstly, let me explain. That is a GIF of SpongeBob. And yes, I said GIF, not GIF. I'm sure there's some people in the comments that might point out that's incorrect. But given this is my presentation, I'm just going to state that it's factually pronounced GIF. Secondly, that GIF clearly isn't moving. And that's because the way these presentations work is I supply a PDF of the PPT, which means the GIF stops working. But I can think of nothing better to illustrate learning's importance than a bespectacled sponge flicking through a book. I, myself, cannot overstate the importance of owning your learning journey. It is crucial that you set goals for yourself. Do the research to find out the skills that you need. Do a self-assessment to understand and decide where to focus your time, and then expend that energy. Practice what you learn. Put yourself in learning situations. Put yourself in situations where you can make mistakes, and then look to evolve from that, and don't give up. And for those of you listening who might think you're not an able learner, learning doesn't come naturally to me, just think about the answers to these questions. How did you learn your last smartphone? When you got an upgrade? Bet you learned that pretty quickly, right? Do you eat the same meals every night? Pretty sure you don't. Pretty sure you experiment, learn. Yeah. Have you ever been so stressed that you've sought help? So what you're doing in those situations is you're looking for answers. And learning isn't as easy as that. And a presentation from a customer success manager wouldn't be the same without some key takeaways. So let's move on to some stellar takeaways. Look at that. I can think of no fancier takeaway, by the way, that comes in a brown paper bag. And this is a Chinese, which is my favorite, so doubly beneficial to me. I wanted to put 3 key takeaways in front of you, kind of to match my 3-point agenda, which I'm certain many of you have forgotten now, by the way. You'll probably only be remembering that they had 90s band names for agenda points. I don't know if anyone, I'm sure there's some among you who know them all. There are also many more ways to make learning stick, right? But as CSMs, we all know that if we ask clients to do more than 3 things, they do none. So here are the 3 things I think you should do. Firstly, set a goal, both of time and destination. What are you trying to achieve? And by time, I don't mean when. That would make this a smart goal. And I think I just collectively heard you all shudder. No, I mean, how long are you going to devote to learning this new subject on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis? Share your experience of learning with your team, colleagues, friends. Just be careful with friends, because I don't know how many people who want to learn organizational skills with their mates, unless they don't want mates anymore. But the power of learning, the power of being held to account whilst learning, about the sharing and validating with others, being part of a wider experience than just solo learning, can be really powerful. And lastly, don't just learn the stuff that's important to work and to your professional life. Learning should be fun. Sign up for a pottery class, cooking lessons, jump into a beginner netball, back to netball basics, pick up a musical instrument. The additional benefit to learning something that isn't fun is it will boost your morale, well-being, mental health, creativity. I could keep going. So much benefit. So don't think of that as wasted time. Lastly, I was going to leave you with a quote. I wanted something maybe sappy and motivational. And then I thought, then I remembered that's not me at all. tracking. I don't quite fall in with that kind of stuff. But like any good CSM, follow the guidance on screen to self-serve. I particularly recommend the motivational option if you want real like office wall stuff. Okay. I want to leave you with just two things really. A good summary, like any CSM would. We covered today, the similarities between CSMs and managers and leaders beyond that. We talked about the core skills of a CSM and the manager and the obvious overlap. And then we looked at how you might fill gaps, and you may think, what your skills look like. And we finished up with a few ways to make it fun. And, to think we did all of that with the best looking slides I've ever knocked up in an hour. And secondly, before we jump into a Q&A, I also wanted to finish with a heartfelt good luck. It's a great industry to be in this. It's a great time to be in this industry. And I know you'll all make great managers and leaders one day. So kind of just moves me on to this last very bland slide, very, very bland slide. And to moderate the Q&A, I want to invite back up Alex, who will take it from here.
Thank you very much for that, Simon. I felt like you gave a lot of incredibly valuable advice that people can take away there. Seems like everyone's enjoying your slides, which is always good. So a question from Manit. How do you motivate your team to take control of their personal learning journey?
Oh, that's a great question. I think by not controlling it myself. There's a really huge importance there, that difference between allowing people the freedom and flexibility to pick the skills that they think will contribute to their own personal development. And actually, that's where I find myself helping more, is where do you want to be? Where does that person want to be in 2 years? Where does that person want to be in 5 years? We have in LinkedIn, you join LinkedIn and on day one, they say, you are going to leave LinkedIn at some point, and we want you to leave a better professional. And so everybody around you, their job is to help contribute to that. And so I contribute to that, and they own that journey with me. I mean, obviously, I'm happy to have that conversation with them. I'm not saying no, but that's how I would tackle that.
Great answer. So another question from Harry. Can you share some pro tips on how to get promoted from CSM to a lead or manager?
Yeah, I think there's some one really good point then, is be a good CSM, tick the boxes. I think there's a day job to be done and do it. No one can then make that kind of assessment that you're not doing your job. I think there's doing the day job is crucial. But you should also give some consideration to what contribution do you make to your company culture? What support have you provided to ERGs in your business? What volunteering and coaching have you done? What help have you provided? Where have you stepped outside the lines? And that's really important. Then it is also important that you make sure that you have a good way of summarizing that and putting it in front of the people that matter, because there's layers of people involved in decisions like promotions, and it's really important that they know your story. So be good at telling your story and be good at getting involved.
Definitely. Thank you for that. Another question. What courses/programs will you recommend for someone transitioning to CSM?
Oh, that's good. I would suggest you focus on the core skills of CSMs. So have a look at job adverts, have a look at the kind of industries that you want to move into. Core CSM skills don't tend to differ hugely, but it will make a difference based on the industry you're moving into, be it ed tech, all sorts of other industries out there as well. So have a think about that. Have a think about how you might acquire those kinds of skills and expose yourself to that kind of industry so you're well aligned. And then there are presumably some good customer success programs out there being provided. And I don't know of any off the top of my head. I know there's some very good customer success content out there. So it's well worth engaging with some of those. I would look for the one that was most, had the best background and the longest delivery, been doing it for the longest. Because we're a young industry, right? So you want to align yourself with an industry body or someone that's providing content and they've been doing it for long enough to know the game. Okay.
Cheers. So a question from Anna. What is your view on the future of this profession?
I think this is a growing profession, and it's such an important profession, and we play such an important role in our customers, in our customers' life cycle. So I can only see it growing. But as it grows, I think businesses will start to look at the function and the delivery and the roles, and they will start to ensure that your delivery, where you're expending your energy, is in the most valuable place. So they'll start to look at how do we ensure that we have great scaled resources and we have great ability to deliver at scale, whilst allowing our customer success managers to be delivering value to our highest value customers or our growing customers or our renewing customers. So I see our industry growing still. I don't see it contracting because of that in any way. But I do think that as a delivery, I think as CSMs, I do think that will change. That's definitely a change I see on the horizon.
Great answer. Some great questions as well by the audience. So the other question from Mark: how important do you feel it is to have a leadership mentor, and should that be outside of your own organization?
Yeah, I love that question. And I suppose there's firstly, I see a great difference between mentor and sponsor. So let me go into that in a little bit more detail. Yes, your mentor should be in your organization and outside. Who says you can only have one? You should seek more than one. I think there's, some of the best people I know who've had these really stellar career trajectories have had that because they've had a group of individuals that they trust, and they go in, they engage with, and they get a really great perspective, broad perspective. And those mentors support them in different ways. Maybe they have a mentor for leadership to help them learn the skills, and they also have a mentor that's helping them with emotional intelligence or coaching or whatever else might be on the agenda. So I think mentorship is extremely important, and I don't think you should limit yourself to one. And I do think you should have one in the organisation, and I do think you should seek mentors outside the organisation. But I said sponsor as well. Now this is different. The sponsor is who talks about you when you're not in the room. Who is lined up right now to have a direct impact on your next promotion and your career trajectory over the next few years. Might not be your manager, by the way, and that's fine. If they're a good manager, they'll understand that. I expect my team to seek mentors, the sponsors, who are outside of our team. But you want someone who, when jobs come up, when needs arise, they think Mark, right? That's what you need. So sponsorship and mentorship are both equally vital and ever so different.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great perspective to look at it from. So another question from Nisha: what do you look for in a good leader, and how do you maintain motivating your team in a remote world we are in?
So what do I look for in a great leader? Emotional intelligence, flexibility, and honesty. I'm just going to hammer them out because I think that's really important. And I don't think many people would disagree with me. I think there's lots of leadership skills, by the way. I always tell my clients, there's a bucket of leadership skills. There you go. Pick some. Leadership skill bingo, right? But if I were to pick three, it would be those three. How do I manage and motivate in a remote world is more up my street, because you will notice that this isn't clearly a LinkedIn office. This is my home office, and I am fully remote. So I don't have to go to the LinkedIn offices. We have offices in London, but I don't need to go there. And my team is a mixed bag of remote versus hybrid. And I hired most of them in the pandemic. So, I've not met lots of them. So there are lots of different ways that you can look to engage with your team, create relationships, create networking opportunities, and also fun. And I think the world has become much better at that now. You only have to Google fun ways to start your Zoom meeting, and there's hundreds, right? Fun ways to engage your team remotely, and there's hundreds, right? You've got all sorts of things, right? Making pizzas, creating cocktails, doing an escape room, all of that kind of stuff. And so, do all of that stuff. If you're not doing it, do it, because it's so important. There's, put time in people's diaries and say, this is just time for us to just talk, shoot the breeze. What's going on in your lives? How's everything? Did you see the news? What's happening with Netflix? What you're watching at the moment? That kind of stuff that you do when you're sat in the office. And also, I am fully remote, but I do see the benefit of seeing people. And I am making more effort at the moment now that we're coming back into the real world, to go to London on a regular occurrence to meet the team, and so I do think there's a benefit to the face-to-face piece as well. I'm not advocating fully remote.
Yeah, definitely some pros and cons, but that was great advice. So final question from Teresa: how do you tell your story without coming across as arrogant?
What's wrong with arrogance, Teresa? That's a great question. If you don't tell your story, who will? And who knows your story better than you? So deliver it. Be positive about what you bring to the table. And I think arrogance is the dismissive attitude to others' contribution, right? So just don't do that bit. Don't do the bit that I'm the best and I'm the only one who could do this. I'm the best. There's others who are really good as well in our team, and they'd be just as good, and I'm very good myself. Fine. Talk of it like, have to think about how you frame things. So the framing is what's really important. So, I might say, I've won awards in LinkedIn, right? And I might say I've won awards in LinkedIn, but I would also say lots of other people have as well. And I've met them and they're fantastic professionals, right? I'm still delivering the message that I've won awards, that I've done something positive and it's fantastic. And I've given you that message, but there are other people who've done it, and it's that delivery where you can be disarmingly genuine, I think is really important. That's difficult, but that's how I would look to tackle that. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, everybody.
No worries. I mean, we have one more question that's just come through. We have time for it as well. So from Marcel: what made you choose LinkedIn as a company you wanted to work for?
That is great. That's a great question, because I didn't really choose LinkedIn. I loved my job that I was in. I was delivering leadership and manager development. And I saw the job advertised on LinkedIn. And I love LinkedIn, as a platform. I've always loved it. The networking abilities, conversations are always much more grown up. I just like the attitude of people connecting. And I saw one of my connections shared job at LinkedIn, and I looked at that and I thought, I won't be able to do that. Fairly dismissive, I guess. But I looked at the job description and I thought, no, actually, I think I might be able to do this. And I applied. So I wasn't looking for LinkedIn. I wasn't looking for that kind of job. But I think I talked to lots of my old colleagues who are trainers in training and development now. And I say to them, the work you do, that education piece, that delivering something with passion, is my job, is the customer success manager's job. And they should give some thought to moving industry, because I advocate on behalf of this industry all the time. So, I often think that. So funny way I've ended up at LinkedIn, really, but I love it. I love LinkedIn. I love it. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely a great platform. That concludes the session for today, Simon. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And it seems like everyone else attending also thoroughly enjoyed that. So again, audience, thank you very much. I'll see you in the next session. And again, Simon, pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks for inviting me. Nice to meet you all. Thank you.
No problem. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.